Now, when we look deep into the stealth feature of the B2 Spirit strategic bomber, right, you are fundamentally looking into the main component, right, or the main feature of the stealth bomber, which is stealth itself. Now, when we speak of stealth, we speak of a number of things, right? But we are fundamentally speaking of the ability of the plane to evade radar signals, right, which are sent by air defense systems on the ground, right? Now, how a radar works, right? A radar basically sends out a signal, a radio signal, right, that is propagated around a specific area, right? These waves are basically circular form, right, which basically ripple out, right, in all directions. Now, when these radio waves interact with various surfaces or objects that are within this propagation sphere of the radar, right, some of these radio waves are reflected back to the receiver of the radar on the ground. And this is received as a signal, and a plane or an object or a missile or a cruise missile is detected, right? Is basically surveilled, right? And information and data has been gathered about the object. Now, when we fundamentally speak about stealth capabilities, right, we speak of the ability of the plane or whatever object to evade radar signals, right? Now, these radar signals are not only radar signals, so it's a number of signals. Number one, when we speak of stealth, we speak of a quality that is known, or a feature that is known as the radar cross section, right? When we also speak of a signature, right, that a radar can pick up, we also speak of infrared signature. We speak of the appearance of the plane in the various electronic devices. We speak of electromagnetic signatures, and we speak of acoustic signatures. But the two main signatures that you want to avoid as the B2 Spirit bomber is fundamentally the radar cross section and the infrared signature, because air defense system basically use these two to detect any object that would be of threat, right, to the host country. Now, the way this stealth capability or stealth features is basically achieved is through two methods, right? The first one I would say is coating, right? Or the painting of the B2 Spirit strategic stealth bomber, right? Coating and the basic design and shape of the aerodynamic qualities of the B2 Spirit, right? Now, when we speak of coating, right, we are fundamentally speaking about a painting that is fundamentally a composite, right, that is made up of something known as the carbon graphite coating, right, or carbon graphite composite, which is basically used to coat the plane or to coat the aircraft, right, in such a way as to help it reduce its cross section radar signature, right? Now, the graphite, right, the carbon graphite basically assists with absorbing these signals or radio waves which are being emitted by the radar on the ground, right? So as I've mentioned earlier on, the way a radar works is that it releases a certain level of radio signals, right? And these signals basically interact with objects within the vicinity, and it sends um, signals back. So the signals bounce off the various objects. It could be a missile, could be a tree, could be a plane, it could be anything, right? Those radio waves basically bounce off that object and then they send it back to the receiver, which is detected as a threat, right? So this is how it basically works. Now, it is reported that the radar cross section of the B2 Spirit is about 0.1 square meters, right? Now, to give you an idea on how low this radar cross section number is that a normal commercial plane, right, um, basically has a radar cross section of about 100 meters squared, right, as compared to the 0.1 meters squared of the B2 Spirit bomber. So these coatings, right, which have the ability to absorb uh, radio radio waves, right, are used as coating on these basic strategic stealth bombers. Now, the second aspect to this is that these radar absorbing materials or radar absorbing composites or radar absorbing coatings also assist in reducing the infrared signature of the plane, right? So the basic heat signature which is released by the plane, particularly the engines in the plane, is also reduced. Now, the second feature of stealth is basically design and shape of the plane or the aircraft, right? Now, the way the plane is shaped and designed, it is designed and shaped in such a way as to reduce the aerodynamic stresses, things like air friction, right, within this aircraft, right? So the designs are in such a way as to reduce the aerodynamic, the drag, yes, specifically, that's the word I'm looking for, the drag within the plane, right? And which is basically generated by the air resistance, right? So when you design the plane like this, it tends to be able to move faster, right? To a point where you can have speeds of supersonic speeds, right? So supersonic speeds are speeds that are above the sound of speed, the speed of sound. The B2 Spirit has quite a large wingspan, right, which basically assists in the basic flight and aerodynamic abilities of this plane. Now, when we basically look at the wingspan of the B2 Spirit strategic stealth bomber, it basically sits at about 52 meters wide, right? And it has a length of about 21 meters long. So this is how big the B2 Spirit strategic stealth bomber is. And one last thing that I have to mention, right, is that on average, right, the B2 Spirit strategic stealth bomber travels at a speed that is basically known as Mach 0.95, right? So it is 5% short of breaking the sound barrier, right? The speed of sound.